Welcome, everybody. Hope everybody's well. It's Thursday. It's slightly later than normal. It's 11:18. So yeah, thought we'd do something slightly different today. What we're going to do is obviously map out for this afternoon, just to give us a bit of idea what is going to happen. We've had pretty quiet, obviously intraday wise. USD JPY, I'm going to cancel that one too. Um, so Euro, we didn't end up triggering or didn't end up trading. GBP USD, probably wish I hadn't pulled my stops to break even because I'll be pretty happy right now. But I'm going to take that one out. And AUD USD. Right. So let's, first things first, any kind of day, what we're going to do today is break down from start to finish. We're going to map everything out and obviously highlight some key areas. All right, so bear with me and get your. I'm enjoying being back in England and having a cup of tea. Um, so yeah, focus, Dan. So we're obviously going to map everything out from start to finish. All right. So, first things first, what is happening? We've got jobless claims. All right. They're expected to increase, slightly. We've obviously got continuing jobless claims again expecting to increase, slightly. And then we've got Williams, speaking. So have a look at that chart that I gave you. I don't think I've still got that here. And then we can obviously have a look to see whether he is hawkish or whether he's dovish. The interesting probably speakers to look out for are going to be the known kind of the doves, the known kind of like to sit on the fence, because obviously there's a new leader, Kevin Walsh, who's completely different to Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell's very conservative, very protective. Kevin Walsh is very aggressive. So these are obviously all things that we can, keep an eye on to, see, who's going to like worry a bit. Because obviously, yeah, I think it's probably better to have a more conservative chairman, in my opinion. But obviously, because you can keep everyone happy. You'd rather everyone was having a go at you for not being aggressive enough, as opposed to the guys who aren't aggressive being a bit like, "Well, I told you so," And so, yeah, that's what I think might be potentially quite interesting. So. Right, first things first here. All right, macro tool needs to be your go-to place because this is gonna, if you don't have time to obviously hop on these lives, this is, something that obviously I've built and it's gonna help you. So that is obviously one thing first. While this is generating, let's have a little look about what the dollar's done this morning, yesterday, so had a bit of a tail off yesterday. Monday was a bit indecisive. Tuesday, Wednesday, we obviously had this expectations that a the ceasefire will end. We're on red alert right now, which means anything could happen. I'm expecting this to push a bit higher. Because obviously there's a reason why we're rejecting quite heavily here. You can see here Asia was pretty big. This is an 8 hour time frame, so I had a big dump off on Asia. And then obviously London naturally is trading within Asia. So I'm expecting New York to potentially do something a bit. I'm going to try and draw a there we go. I'm expecting New York to potentially do something maybe a little bit smaller, something like this. Trading within these kind of realms, potentially hitting these highs. Something like that would be what I would be expecting. But obviously, let's wait and see what happens. It'll be interesting. This 101 area is going to be quite key. All right. So looking at 10-year yields as well, as a whole, we're obviously confident we've cleared this previous lower high. We've cleared this lower high here. So obviously yields are pushing higher. All right. So the higher that yields go, the more obviously that the more money that's going to flow into the US dollar overall. All right. Last but not least, let's look at oil here. So oil still couldn't quite break above this area. Interesting enough that we marked up yesterday. Um, Obviously, I am expecting this to break potentially, obviously up to 80. However, this to me tells you that the escalation worries are not as severe as, what the media are making out. Because if Trump was going all out war, oil would be trading back up here. Now, that's not happened. All right. So there must be some kind of talks going on that, is making everyone uncomfortable, but comfortably uncomfortable. And then last but not least, the stock market's had a bit more life to it. US 100 still flying, SPX 500 at all-time highs, and obviously US 30 at all-time highs. It's crazy, crazy, crazy what has happened here. So going into that, all right, macro report generated here. All right. So once this generates, gold is the clearest opportunity today. It's near the top of its daily range with strong momentum, and the technical setups reward patience on breakout trades above 4116. Today's reward discipline on gold, hence why we've been doing so well on the lower time frame stuff. London session has opened with gold as the star performer. We already, know this. It's up at 0.69, sitting near the top. Um, so, well, what you want to do, go through here, risk today, keep position sizes controlled around UK major economic data, UK inflation, biggest structural, blah, blah, blah. So, right, we can see here that market mood, meters higher as well, and nothing's really that clean. We've got gold bullish out and out. And then we've got everything else is a little bit in between here. All right. So I would be looking at this and obviously how well gold is performing. Aussie might be one for us to hop into. USD JPY potentially might be one for us to to kind of look into as well. So highlighting this, what you want to do afterwards, go to the prepare intelligence tool and just generate each one, goal bullish all in all. So, 100%. GBP USD, I would imagine this is going to be a little bit mixed. Let's wait and see. Yep, 5 minute, but overall bullish. Euro USD. Yeah, same, little bit kind of all over the place. Aussie, let's wait and see here. Gold, that's an interesting one actually. I have to look at that chart and find a USD JPY here. Yeah. So, we've got a real kind of mix of data here overall. So, what I'm probably going to be looking to do is to buy the dollar. However, I want to stay away from gold. Just because I think on a higher time frame it might get a bit exhausted. All right. So, and I'd probably because of gold, I'm going to stay away from AUD USD as well. So let's now look. Right, we're obviously looking to buy the dollar, against the pound. All right, let's have a look at this overall here, and then have a look as to where we could potentially do that. So. We're obviously trading at this price here, so let's mark out where the highest point of price was traded. And obviously, let's have a look here, potentially this kind of area here, right? I'd be happy with this. I think if we're going to go any higher, we're obviously, and if we drag this all the way across, right, you can see, you can see liquidity here, yeah, all right. And this is obviously one thing that I'm going to do a lot, more of. So let's now have a little look and obviously try and round everything up a bit. Let's do 250, potentially six. Let's do six. Where does 650 land us? I think so. 250, 650. And then what's that going to be pips wise? And obviously now you can kind of judge here how long it takes me to grade everything. So I'll be looking at something like this, Probably keep my stops quite tight, probably about 35 pips from the middle entry. I'll be pretty happy there. Potentially pop it up a little bit more. Give everything a bit more space, and then we're going to go for a 1 to 2. So potentially coming down and targeting this area here. All right, so I'll be pretty happy with this. Let's do to 40, and then let's do round that up to 900. There we go, 900. There we go. Right. So that is what I'm going to be looking at here. Well, we've obviously identified the overall, macro outlook here. We've also got to look at the daily ranges in regards to obviously how much everything, moves. Maybe I'll do a webinar on this one, but I would say average, probably GBP USD is going to move, I reckon, 60 to 70 pips. Yeah. All right. Well, if we're looking at this here for a full on, range, it's very very slim that it's gonna, blast past us. We can obviously hold this against all of our days here. In regards to it won't. It'll probably touch it. I reckon 2 times out of 10. All right. So that's then going to give us a bit of a higher probability that if we can come up and tap into this area, all right, one more time, then obviously we'll, continue to the downside here. All right. So that would be my GBP USD, setup here. Euro. Let's have a look at euro here. All right. Slightly more difficult here. So if we're looking at our daily highs here. All right, so our daily high is somewhere around here. I probably want to play everything a bit more comfortable. Now, let's just go through a few things here in regards to obviously what we could be looking at. I think potentially here. Um, but it depends on how aggressive we want to be, because we could even do something like this, right? But that to me seems a bit too aggressive. I reckon the most aggression we're going to want to play out is probably about here. All right. So let's just have a little look at this. So let's round 750. Let's do this 400. There we go. Something like this. Yeah. All right. So then that's going to give us a really nice kind of view here. So if we have our stops, again, we want to keep them ever so slightly tighter. So essentially 450, 75, 450. There we go. And then let's push this again, want a nice 1 to 2 minimum. I probably will keep this at a 1 to 2. So something like this. So let's do 25. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I'm pretty happy with this, expecting for a nice tail up, challenge these. We're obviously challenging the 200 EMA here. Again, if we look at, ranges, let's go on the daily. Let's pick an average one. Should probably be something like this. All right, let's go a little bit further just to be safe. All right, so 57. All right, again, look at this. All right, we're comfortable here. All right, the average, range, ignoring things like this is your 3 and 10. All right, imagine we got one which would have blasted through the daily range, and we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 before we got one which blasts, through the daily range, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, we've got to be pretty happy, pretty comfortable here. Yeah. And I'm pretty happy here. So we've got to expect one day we'll blast out. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th day we blast out. Then we've got a load of data here, right? All of this here trades within probably until potentially this one here. So that's obviously how I would lay out Euro USD here. Last but not least, let's do USDJPY. Do you guys just pat in the chat if you're enjoying this, if you're understanding it, if you want to see more of it, just put yes, or no. Yes, yes. All right, cool, 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 cool. Everyone's saying yes. All right, brilliant. Right, so um, let's now do USD JPY, which is always a bit of a tricky one. Why? Because we are known for these big tail offs here. All right. So we've got to be a bit careful here, you know. So let's, start off. Let's have a let's have a look at Asia. Yeah. Right. Asia has been pretty slow, so it's almost like the bulls and bears uh, bashing against each other. Just out of interest, I have gone through it before. Does anyone know why when we're going long, it's called bullish, and when we're going short, it's called bearish? Don't tell anyone. Just put yes or no. I'm just curious. Yes, yes, no. All right, Greg. Yes. All right, cool. Well, for Greg, basically, it's how they attack. Yeah. All right. So bulls attack up. All right, up, and then bears attack down. Yeah. That's why it's called bulls and bears. Old school fact there. Right, so USDJPY. So we're on the daily time frame here. Let's just have a look at an average. I'd say this one's about average. Let's go a bit below anyway. All right. So if we're looking to buy, we know that obviously potentially, we've got this move here. Potentially we need that covered. All right. So let's just put this here. All right. So now we're going to go on the 8 hour. Asia pretty slow. London's pumped down here, pretty much holding from obviously these highs here. All right. Now our entry, model here. All right. So we've got our low of today, which is about here. Now, are we going to breach this? And obviously, what's happened previously? All right. We're going to mark up this one here. All right. And then we're going to mark probably down to about here. Yeah. But we're not going to go that aggressive. Um, so let's have a look potentially. What if we went 250 and made that 62 potentially? So something like this. I actually quite like that. We could go ultra aggressive if we want to, but remember, we've got to have this allocation from down here. All right. So I would probably even be tempted to move this a little bit lower. So potentially 200. Let's go 6161950. Let's see what this looks like here. I actually prefer this. All right, because I like the idea of us getting a little bit of a tail off before we do it, and it means that we can allocate our stop below. So I want to be below there. So I want to be about 40. So slightly bigger stop, but let's do that there. There we go. So we need that needs to be. There we go. Right, and then we need this. Potentially 1 to 2. So yeah, that would be probably just about right there, I would say. So 1 to 2, 675. There we go. So something a bit like this. That's what I would be interested in potentially on USDJPY. All right. Remember, our overall kind of daily, um, you know, um, it's left my brain range. Daily range is here. So yeah, so that is how I would mark these three pairs out. Gold, I'm going to stay away from because if we look at gold on a daily, it's made up some ground. 8 hour, we rejected London, big rejection through New York, and then a nice little rejection through Asia. So where I was expecting London potentially to come down and test this, that's not happened. So let's wait and see obviously what happens here. But I'm not as confident on gold as what I am on everything else. It is especially as we kind of rescued it a bit this morning. We come out of it, so I don't think it's a good long-term trade to take. But you guys can see how you can utilize the macro tool, and obviously understand what is happening here. Yeah, to then make your decisions as to whether you're going to buy or going to sell. So yeah, a few weeks ago you were talking about potential intervention. Yes, so one thing that I will say about USDJPY is you've got to be careful because these moves here are happening often. So we obviously had one last Thursday, but then you see it trickling back up. Look, one here trickled back. Let's have a look on the 2 hour, and it'll be more prevalent then. Big move down, trickles back up. Big move down, trickles back up. It's happening time again. All right, big move down, keeps going up. Big move down, keeps going up. So you do need to be aware of that on USDJPY. So, but yes, they are in pure intervention territory, but it's going to take some time. Yeah, right. It is going to take some time. It's not going to happen instantly. Plus, we need to be aware at the moment, any tweets, any politics, anything comes out, we've also got to be careful because, markets can change either way. So yeah, but no, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. What time does the high impact news come out today? So if you go onto investing.com, it's free. All right, set up an account, change your change your filters. All right, I do mine high, medium, and then I've highlighted these countries here. All right, so Europe, is that China? That should be Switzerland, no? China. Yeah, Switzerland, but it's got J. That's funny. Pound, Canada, USA, Aussie, and Japan. So those are obviously what I've got highlighted. I'm actually going to highlight China as well, so I'm going to add that in. So yeah, and you want obviously high to medium impacts. And then obviously it's going to then come up what's happening. So do you use the daily range indicator for trading view? No. I'll put in the daily ranges for each pair. I'll do that a bit later on. But right, I hope you guys obviously have a great day. And yeah, let's smash it. Let's continue to smash it. So have a good one, team. Also, give me some feedback on how I've done this one because I'm thinking about starting to do this. As opposed to me posting my trades at half past 6, I'll hold on and we'll do everything at 8. But yeah, make sure you give me some feedback on that. But no, have a great day and yeah, let's smash it. Have a good one, team.